Her laugh echoed from behind the half-open door, soft, teasing, like it used to be with me. But this time, it wasn't for me. I watched his hands unwrap the silk from her shoulders slowly, like she was something delicate, something precious. And in that moment, I didn't know what burned more, the jealousy or the thrill. Because deep down, we agreed to this, didn't we? Disclaimer: this content is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. They say some nights change you forever. That was the night I realized how blurred the lines could become between desire and regret. It started off as a fantasy we only dared whisper about. I thought it was just talk, bedroom games, innocent curiosity, until Al brought it up again, serious this time. His voice was calm, but his eyes held that flicker, the kind that said he'd been thinking about it longer than I had. We met Cassie and Drew at a wine tasting in Napa, of all places. Something about them pulled us in. Cassie was bold, her eyes sharp and wicked, the kind of woman who knows exactly how she affects a room. Drew was quieter, like Al, observant, confident in silence. There was chemistry. Dangerous chemistry. At first, it was just a flirt. A harmless game over dinner. Elbows brushing, glances exchanged. I could feel it building, like static in the air. I looked at Al across the table and he gave me the smallest nod, as if to say, yes, this is happening. We set rules. We thought rules would protect us. But rules don't mean anything when emotions come into play. That night, I watched her walk toward him in that red silk robe I picked out myself. Every step she took pulled something deeper out of me. Not just jealousy. Not just desire. Something twisted. He reached for her like she was always his. And she let him. Al was across the room with Cassie, his hands on her waist, his lips at her neck, but I couldn't stop staring at them. Was this what we wanted? Or had we just opened something we could never close again? The silence between me and Al afterward wasn't angry, it was loud. Filled with things we couldn't say. Things we didn't know how to feel yet. And now, every time I look at him, I wonder who he's really thinking about. I wonder if he asks the same of me. We said we'd try it once. But what if once was enough to ruin everything? And what if part of me wants to do it again? ChatGPT said, the days after felt like walking through water, thick, slow, everything just slightly out of reach. Al went back to his usual rhythms, coffee in the morning, laptop open before noon, asking about dinner like nothing had happened. But I could see it in the way he looked at me now. Like he didn't know where we stood either. Like we both were pretending to breathe underwater. That night stayed with me in flashes. The way her skin shimmered under the dim light. The curve of her back as he leaned in closer. How still the air became when I realized I couldn't stop watching, and didn't want to. It wasn't supposed to feel like this. We had built this life together, for years married, 5 together. We had a cozy place in Sonoma, quiet and warm. We were happy. Or at least, we thought we were. But then Cassie and Drew arrived like a slow storm, unexpected but oddly welcome. They saw through us in a way we hadn't seen ourselves in years. Cassie said it best over wine one night, her voice low and deliberate. Sometimes, to really know someone, you have to watch them with someone else. I remember my heart racing when she said that. I didn't know whether it was fear or curiosity. Now I'm not sure I know the difference. Al still touched me like he always did, but something was missing or added. A hesitation. A shadow of someone else. We didn't talk about it. Not yet. Maybe we were scared if we said the words out loud, we'd never come back from them. Drew texted once since then. Just one message. Still thinking about that night. You okay? I didn't respond. But I read it more than once. Every little moment feels different now. The way Al brushes against me in the kitchen. The silence before we fall asleep. I wonder if he feels the same pull I do, back to that room, back to that night where everything shifted. Part of me wants to forget. Part of me wishes I could go back and watch her be unwrapped all over again. Because what I felt, what I still feel, scares me. And I don't think I'm the only one. It started with the smallest shift. A lingering look. A pause too long when Al kissed my cheek before heading out. His lips brushed mine, but the warmth didn't follow. He smiled, said love you, like always, but I felt the distance. Like he was still somewhere else. Maybe with someone else. I found myself checking my phone more than usual. Scrolling through old messages. Hovering over Drew's name. I didn't write him back, not yet, but the pull was there, humming beneath my skin. I told myself it was curiosity. Closure. Something harmless. But the truth sat heavier than that. I wanted to know if he felt it too, that invisible thread connecting us since that night. Cassie messaged me first. Thinking about you today. You looked beautiful that night. No context. No follow-up. Just that. Like she knew exactly what that would do to me. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, pulse in my ears. I hadn't told anyone, not even myself, how much that moment changed me. Watching her with Al. The jealousy. The want. The betrayal wrapped in permission. And now, she was reaching out like it meant something. That night had cracked something open between us all. We weren't just couples anymore. We were tangled. Intertwined. When Al came home that evening, he seemed distracted. He stood in the doorway for a moment too long, like he expected someone else to be there. Or hoped for it. He smiled when he saw me, but it didn't reach his eyes. We ate dinner in silence. Chicken and rosemary potatoes, his favorite, untouched on his plate. I asked him what was wrong. He said, nothing. I didn't believe him. But I nodded like I did. After we cleaned up, he said he was going for a drive. I didn't ask where. I just watched him leave. 20 minutes later, Drew's name popped up on my screen. Is he with her? My breath caught. I hadn't even asked myself that question. But now, it was all I could think about. Was he? Did he go back? Did he want more? I stared out the window, the night swallowing the driveway. The wine glass in my hand trembled just slightly. I told myself this was all just a one-time experiment. A thrill. A game. But the rules are gone now. And I think we're all starting to play for ourselves. The silence between us had changed. It wasn't quiet anymore, it was heavy. Every glance, every missed touch, every breath felt like it held something unsaid. Al came home later each night, claiming meetings, errands, traffic. But I saw the way his hands trembled when he dropped his keys. The way he avoided my eyes when I asked, "Did you see her?" He didn't answer. He never did. And I didn't press. Because deep down, I wasn't sure I wanted to know. Cassie messaged again. Just a single question. Do you regret it? I stared at the screen for so long the display went dark. Regret. Was that what this was? Or was it something else? That night had awakened something in me, a part one didn't know existed. The way Drew looked at me, like I was brand new. The way Cassie touched Al, like she already knew all his secrets. I didn't just feel replaced. I felt opened. And now I was falling back into it. Willingly. Recklessly. The next evening, Drew called. Not texted, called. I let it ring until the last second, then answered like I hadn't been waiting all day. I can't stop thinking about you, he said. His voice was low, steady, like he knew he shouldn't be saying it, but couldn't stop himself. Neither could I. I haven't stopped either, I whispered. The line went quiet. I think she's with him, he finally said. Right now. I closed my eyes, chest tightening. 1,000 thoughts swirled, rage, guilt, hunger, hurt. But none of it was simple anymore. None of it was black and white. They were supposed to be one night, I said. They were, Drew replied. But what about us? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because if I did, everything would change. But everything already had. Later that night, Al stood in the doorway of our bedroom, watching me undress. His eyes lingered longer than usual. Not with lust, but with something harder to name. I turned, letting the robe slide off my shoulder. For a moment, neither of us moved. And I wondered, was he seeing me? Or still seeing her? I wondered the same about myself. The air between us was charged, humming with everything we hadn't said. I could feel Al watching me, like he was trying to remember who I used to be, who we used to be. I let the robe slip just enough, not to seduce, but to test. To see if he'd reach for me. To see if he wanted to. He didn't. Instead, he turned away. "I'm tired," he said quietly, already stepping toward the bathroom. But I saw the flicker in his eyes. Not tired. Haunted. I stood there, frozen, robe halfway down my arm, my heart racing for reasons I couldn't explain. That night, the one we said would be just one time, was still in the room with us. Like a shadow that never left. I stayed awake after he fell asleep. Lying on my side, I watched the way his back rose and fell. Peaceful. Still. And I hated how much I wanted to shake him awake and scream, "Did you go back to her?" But the bigger question was, would I go back to him? Drew's message from earlier replayed in my head like a broken record. What about us? I didn't know there was an US. But maybe I did. Maybe I wanted it more than I was ready to admit. The next morning, everything changed. I came down to make coffee like always, expecting the quiet, the awkward silence, maybe a forced kiss goodbye. But instead, I saw it. A small, folded note on the counter. From Cassie. I knew her handwriting. I'd seen it on that wine-tasting card months ago. My name on the outside. Just my name. My hands trembled as I unfolded it. Last night wasn't the first time. Ask him about Tuesday. My chest caved in. I gripped the counter, breath stuck in my throat. Tuesday? He said he had a client dinner. Out late. No details. I didn't question it. I should have. I heard Al's footsteps upstairs. I shoved the note deep into the drawer and wiped my face, trying to slow my breathing. He came down moments later, mug in hand, smiling like everything was fine. "Morning," he said, leaning in to kiss me. I turned my head. He froze. Something passed between us in that instant. He knew. And now, so did I. The rules we set were gone. The game we started wasn't a game anymore. And someone was playing it behind my back. The air in the kitchen was thick with everything unspoken. Al reached for his mug, sipping like it was just another morning. But I couldn't look away from him. Not now, not after that note. My fingers still tingled from where I had touched the paper, like it had burned through me. "Where were you Tuesday night?" I asked quietly, my voice steady, but my chest felt like it might crack open. He paused, just for a second. A second too long. "I told you. Dinner with a client," he said, setting the mug down too carefully. "Why?" I met his eyes. "Cassie left me a note." The silence that followed wasn't shock, it was confirmation. He didn't ask what note. He didn't deny it. Just closed his eyes like he'd been waiting for this moment to arrive. I stared at him, every part of me screaming, "Say something. Fix it. Explain it. Lie to me if you have to." But he didn't. "She called me," he finally said. "She said she missed me. That she couldn't stop thinking about what happened." He looked down at his hands. And I didn't say no. My throat tightened. "You didn't just not say no. You went to her." He nodded slowly. "I didn't mean for it to happen again. But it did. And now it lived between us, thick and real." And yet, instead of crying, instead of yelling, I heard myself whisper, "I think I wanted it to happen too." Al looked up at me confused. "Not with her," I said. "With Drew." The words hung there, daring either of us to pretend we didn't understand what this was now. Then came the twist. My phone buzzed on the counter. One new message from Cassie. "You should know. Drew and I weren't on the same page." I read it again. He played us both. The floor shifted under me. Al moved toward me, maybe to explain, maybe to reach for some version of us that could survive this. But I stepped back. Everything we thought we were in control of, we weren't. He nodded, and this time, it was real. Not guilt. Understanding. We had opened something we couldn't close. And now, nothing would ever be the same. Al and I didn't speak for a while after that morning. Not really. We said the small things, asked about groceries, the laundry, how each other slept. But the silence beneath those words was loud. It carried the weight of betrayal, confusion, and everything we had both wanted and allowed. We never expected one night would undo the quiet rhythm we built over years. But maybe that rhythm had already cracked, we just hadn't noticed until someone else stepped into it. I met Drew again. Not in secret. Not romantically. Just to understand. He admitted it. He played the both of us, me and Cassie, carefully, testing where we'd bend. He said he didn't expect me to feel anything. But I did. I felt seen. Desired. Free. It wasn't love. It was escape. And it made me realize how far Al and I had drifted before any of this began. Cassie never reached out again. I think she knew what she'd done. Or maybe she got what she wanted. Al never denied he let her in. And I never denied that I let someone else in too. So where did that leave us? In therapy, actually. Because the truth is, we didn't want to throw each other away. We just didn't know how to fix what had cracked wide open. And over time, we stopped looking at that night as the moment everything broke and started seeing it as the moment everything got real. We asked ourselves hard questions. What did we want? Why did we say yes in the first place? What were we missing? Some answers were painful. Some brought us closer. We didn't go back to how we were before. That version of us is gone. But what came next was something new. Honest. Messy. Stronger. Now, when I look at Al, I don't just see the man who betrayed me. I see the man who came back. And when I remember that night, watching her get unwrapped like a gift meant for someone else, I still feel that burn in my chest. But now, it doesn't hurt. It reminds me how close we came to losing each other. And how somehow, against all odds, we didn't.